Hello and welcome to the United Community Channel. My name is Jack and this is your latest Manchester United news. And we've got a lot to talk about in this show as always. Mission 21 has been unveiled by Ineos. It's part of the Mission 150, I think it is, or 180, the 100, Mission 150, I think, that came out in the autumn in relation to Dave Brailsford and Omar Barada and what the plan is for Manchester United. It basically centres around 2028 and hopefully Manchester United winning the league title by then. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. It's coming out from Matt Lawton in the Times today. We'll speak about that. We've got updates on Luke Shaw as well. Has he been set back by 4 weeks? Has he not? We'll discuss that. We'll talk as well around the efforts that Ineos are going to at the moment to revitalise Manchester United. And is that maybe why we've had a quiet January? And does that mean then that we can spend in the summer? We'll talk a little bit about that as well. That does involve Garnacho and Menu. Some reports coming out today suggesting that they will be up for sale again in the summer, so we'll discuss that. And we've got a small update as well on Chido Obi Martin. Fabrizio Romano has been speaking about the possibility of him getting into the first team squad between now and the end of the season. Thanks for joining as always, guys. Please do smash a like on the video if you haven't done so already. Do hit that subscribe button. As you can see up here, getting very, very close now to 13,000 subscribers. So if you are new, do hit that subscribe button. I do appreciate it. But we're going to start with Mission 21, and it's all centred around Dave Brailsford. And we know, look, Dave Brailsford is all about marginal gains and about, taking everything you possibly can to the extreme to make up that extra 1%. And Matt Lawton in the Times today has been speaking about Mission 21. And Mission 21 basically means that, it's a plan unveiled by Manchester United. And it aims to bring the club a 21st Premier League title. And look, we would all love to see that, wouldn't we? We would all love to see that. And we will. Please God, touch wood, we will see it. Brailsford wrote the plan with the help of James Martin, a professor at Liverpool John Moores University, who is the former head of nutrition and performance at Team Sky and a former Liverpool nutritionist. Brailsford and Martin presented their Mission 21 project to performance managers at Carrington. The project is part of Project 150 initiative, which was presented by Omar Barada last fall and linked to the club's 150th anniversary in 2028. The main players in this project are Barada, Wilcox, Colette Roach and Brailsford. And basically it's centering around improving everything at Manchester United in terms of performance, and hopefully by 2028 we will see Manchester United ideally with a league title, another league title, but at the very least we will be up there and challenging and starting to progress in the right direction. And look, I mean, this is good news, I suppose, in a way, and news you want to hear from, as a Manchester United fan, and you do want to, soak up as much of this positive energy as possible. It is a massive undertaking. It really, really is. And when you're talking about 2028, you're talking about 3.5 years, basically. So we will have 3 seasons after this one. Isn't that right? So 25, then 25, 26, 26, 27, and then 27, 28 then would be the end of the, you would be coming into 2028 then, and United's 150th anniversary. It is an ambitious plan, by all means, very, very ambitious plan, but it's exciting, and one that, you like to hear, like I said, as a Manchester United fan. For far too long, Manchester United have allowed standards to slip in every department, and the only thing that was keeping those standards high under the Glazers was Sir Alex Ferguson and everything he implemented before the Glazers ever even got to Manchester United. But after that, it was quite clear that standards were beginning to slip. We've seen a lack of professionalism, a lack of winning mentality, a lack of real future planning, and a lack of real, I suppose, positive recruitment in all areas, not just in the playing department. So I think, bringing in a plan like this, while it is very ambitious. It's quite an obvious one in relation to what you need to do and how you need to improve going forward. And look, there has been a lot of negativity over the last few days on the back end of the transfer market, the transfer window in January in United, not signing an out-and-out striker and so on and so forth. However, I mean, if we break it down and look at it, objectively, I don't think Ineos are doing a bad job. I genuinely don't. I've been reading an awful lot in the comment sections the last week or so about Ineos being as bad as the Glazers, and it's just so wrong. It's so wrong, and it's so inaccurate. Ineos are not anywhere near as bad as the Glazers. Yes, they have come in and they've started to implement some cost-cutting measures, and you don't want to see normal working class people losing their job at Manchester United, but that has happened. And I don't agree with all of the cost-cutting measures they've done, but their goal at the end of the day is to bring Manchester United back and have Manchester United be successful again. And there's a lot of different things that need to change for that to happen. And to say that Ineos are as bad as the Glazers is just complete and utter nonsense. The Glazers done nothing for 20 years other than pull money out of Manchester United and refinance it 2 or 3 times and, load that debt onto the club even more. And they put us into the situation. I even seen a couple of comments saying that, talking about Ed Woodward. Well, at least Ed Woodward got deals over the line and he got signings in the door. The reason we're in this situation is because of the nonsense negotiating and the stupid deals that the likes of Ed Woodward done. That's why we're in this situation. That's why we can't sign players. That's why we're up against it with PSR, because we made too many stupid signings. We gave these signings too much money. We still owe 300 million in terms of transfer fees, all on the back of the old regime. The Glazers, Ed Woodward, these idiots that, while the Glazers are still there, they're no longer in charge of football operations, but they're the reason why we're in the situation we're in now. And Ineos are trying to fix that. They really are. And I'm not here saying that Ineos are going to get everything right, because they have made mistakes. The Dan Ashworth situation, big mistake. Obviously, we don't know what happened there. There's obviously non-disclosure agreements there where, he can't speak about it for a certain amount of time. I think maybe in hindsight now you could say that keeping Eric Ten Hag on was a mistake. But I think outside of them 2 mistakes, I think they've done things quite well. They've structured the top of the club very, very well. So, you've got a good foundation there now. I think their transfer dealings have been really good. They've signed 5 players. I think 4 of them have been very good signings. Xerxes, the jury is still out. But outside of that, they are trying to fix Manchester United. And when you see, the likes of Mission 21 and Project 150, these are very ambitious projects to bring Manchester United back to the success that we're used to of a decade ago, more than a decade ago. And I think that can only be a positive thing. It really, really can be, it can only be a positive thing. And you will get the nonsense online about, they're worse than the Glazers. Them comments are just absolute nonsense. They really, really are. I just don't understand them, to be quite honest with you. And yeah, I mean, it's just not true. It's just not true. Now, there is a problem though, okay? And the problem around this ambitious plan is money, okay? Money. Now, thankfully, no dividends can be taken out of the club for the next 3 years, okay? I think that was part of Ineos taking over. Or maybe it could be down to 2 years now. I think it was initially 3 years. And so that means the Glazers can't pull any money out of the club. Now, Jim Radcliffe is not going to take dividends out of Manchester United. He's just not going to do it. He doesn't need the money. He's Britain's richest man. So when we're talking about money being the problem, the money being the problem here is that we need to spend money to win the league, okay? Outside of Leicester City, okay? And Leicester City did spend money as well. But outside of Leicester City, you need to spend money to win the league. You cannot do it without spending money. You just can't do it. And if someone says Blackburn to me, go away and bury your head in the sand, because they had a steel conglomerate just come in and buy the club, and within 2 years, of him pumping money into the club, he had won the Premier League. You win the league if you invest. 9 times out of 10, if you invest more money and you invest it smartly, then you will win the league. Now, a lot of the opposition fans will say, oh yeah, but you've spent more than anyone. And that may be the case, but we spent it wrong, and we spent it poorly, and we spent that under, again, the old ownership. So you would hope now, one transfer window in the summer down, very, very good transfer window in my eyes. Mazraoui, great signing, De Ligt, great signing, Ugarte, great signing, and Yoro, a great signing. When you look at the January transfer window, it had to be a quiet one. It just did. Now, we still got Dorgu, okay, who is somebody that we needed. We needed a left wing back. And you also signed another up-and-coming young player. I think we got him for free as well, in Adrian Heaven. So, not the worst in the world. But I think you need to go... we needed to be quiet in this January transfer window for the summer to be anyway, flashy in terms of signings. And we can see that here. Rob Dawson is speaking in ESPN yesterday. He says Manchester United are hoping their conservative approach to the January transfer window will allow them to complete a major rebuild of the squad in the summer. And we've been speaking about this, haven't we, for a long time, that Manchester United need a major overhaul. They need a major overhaul in the playing squad. And that's the reason why we've gone quiet in January. 9 times out of 10, you cannot get your first choice in January. It's very difficult to do business in January, and the real top tier players are not available. Now, by all accounts, and what it looks like from my eyes, and you can have the nonsense fans, in the comment section saying, Ineos are as bad as the Glazers. In my eyes, the reason why we have had a quiet January, one is because of FFP, and by the time the summer transfer window comes around, we will be in a new financial year. And 2 is the point I just made. Number 1, first choice targets are more likely to move in the summer than they are in January. And I am completely on board in going for your number 1 target in the summer, rather than rushing in to a deal with somebody who's only okay in January just to paper the cracks. We've done that way too much over the last few years. If you look at the last 2 Januaries, we've got strikers in on loan in both Januaries. Weghorst, Gallo, these types of players. Them days just have to stop. If it means another 3 or 4 or 5 months of pain and misery, don't get relegated. Try and challenge in the cups, and we will go hell for leather at the transfer window in the summer. Then I'm on board for that. Okay, a short-term bit of pain for long-term gain is something that I'm ready to take, because I'm sick of this, rinse and repeat, signing players in January that are only half good enough. You do your recruitment now, and you do it properly between now and the end of the season. You identify who we can get, who we can sign within our budget that will improve us and get us, to closer to where we need to be. And if you do that consecutively over a 2 or a 3 year period, you will see massive improvements. So I'm all for it. Bring it fucking on. Bring it on. Let me get into some of your comments here and see what you're saying. Who we got in the chat? Gavin is there. D is in. He says, Ineos Masterclass is to turn us into a cycling team. Jim's balancing the books for sure. But he's not a melon, D. Me and you are going to have a serious disagreement on this. He isn't. He is not a melon. He's a fucking smart man. You need to get off of Twitter, okay? Or X or whatever it's called. And subscribe. Get a subscription to the Times, all right? It's €1 for 3 months, okay? It's €1 a month for 3 months, and you can cancel it then. And read Matt Lawton's report. I've got it here, all right? I've got it right here. I was reading it before we went live, okay? Oh, that's the Irish Times, no, the other one. But anyway, long story short, read it. Stop listening to, fucking Twitter accounts, the guys that have 150,000 followers who think they're journalists. There's real work being done in the background. All right, Jim is not a melon. He's a smart man, and he wants Manchester United to succeed. Now, there's going to be long-term pain or short-term pain for long-term gain, in my eyes. I honestly do believe that. You know what I mean? Need More Cowbell says, can Man United fix their finances by 21? That would be a big no. Well, they can. They quite easily can. And not going out and spending silly in January is the first step to that. Absolutely. You know, you're moving on players like Rashford, who's on huge money. You know, we will more than likely move on more of them in the summer, the likes of Casemiro, you know, who's our highest earner. These are all positive steps. They really are. Gavin says, Ineos are now puppets for the Glazers, and Ineos are going to get blamed for what is happening now and not the Glazers. I don't think so. I don't think so either on that one, Gavin, because I think Ineos are in charge of footballing operations, and they will live and die on whether Manchester United improve and start, you know, challenging for league titles. That's what they'll live and die on, you know. And the steps that they've made so far, the majority of them, in my eyes, have been positive steps. They really have been positive steps. It's not transferring onto the pitch, okay? But that's the final step. You know what I mean? Putting in a new sporting director doesn't instantly get you winning games day in, day out, week in, week out. You know, putting the foundations in place where you've got a culture, you know, smart people, you know, in smart areas. That's what long term is going to determine success or failure. You know, now you've got to, you know, put them people in place. Then people are going to be able to recruit properly. If they recruit properly, they'll get good players in. If they get good players in, the manager will have a better squad to work with. If the manager has a better squad to work with, he will have a better chance of winning football games. If he wins more football games, he will win more trophies. You know, it's not rocket science. It's not rocket science. Ben is in as well. Good to see you. Ben Dillon says, not signing any backup attackers in January. My God, we're one Bruno or Ahmad injury away from being in a relegation battle. Again, I mean, I in a way, I would say I would have liked to seen a backup attacker in January come in. Absolutely, I would have. But I also then say, was the right choice available? You know, we were looking at Matthias Tell on loan, and there was a reason why we were looking for him on loan. It's because we didn't want to commit because our first choice wasn't available. That's quite clear, you know. Now, Manchester United said no to Tell because of the 5 million loan fee and no buy option in it. Now, in what planet does any Manchester United fan think that that's a good deal to do? Because it's just not a good deal to do. Why would we give 6 months and develop a player for Bayern Munich and pay 5 million in the process when we can't even buy him at the end of the loan deal? You know what I mean? That's smart business out United. And that would have been a deal that Ed Woodward would have fucking had a wank over. Yep, give him to us. We'll give you that 5 million, no problem. And we'll see if we can sign him in the summer. And Bayern would have just gone, see you in June. And he comes back a better player than he left. You know, and he wins the Champions League for Bayern Munich. That's the way that the old regime looked at it. And that's why we didn't sign him. Because finally, there's lads up there in the boardroom that have got fucking brains in their heads. You know? And yeah, thank God. According to Ineos, we can't get any choice in January, minus Postman Pat. Don't get relegated. That's the point, though, Jack. If we don't score goals, we will be getting relegated. We won't get relegated. There are 3 worse teams than us in the league. There is. We won't get relegated. I'm telling you that right now. Okay, we will not get relegated. I would thank the Almighty for only 4 or 5 months of misery. Not even the Holy Trinity can turn the club around that fast. No, they can't turn the club around that fast. Absolutely not. But you go back to what Ralph Rangnick said a couple of years ago. It doesn't have to take 3 or 4 years. You could turn it around in 12 months with some really good signings. And I always go back to the Liverpool early days with Jurgen Klopp. They were struggling. And all of a sudden, within 18 months or 12 months, they signed Alisson, Van Dijk, and I think they got Salah as well in that same period of time. And they instantly started challenging for league titles. Instantly. You know what I mean? Now, you telling me there's not 3, 4, maybe 5 players within that Manchester United squad, that are good enough at the moment. I think there is. And over the next maybe 12 to 18 months, if you can supplement that squad with some good, really good signings, good characters, I'm not saying we're going to win a league, but I'm saying you can easily start challenging, for league titles, if not top fours and stuff like that, and that needs to be the aim. Steady progression. Now, there has to be a massive leap in between this season and next season, because if we finish 11th this season, we can't finish 9th next season. You know what I mean? We have to get back up there and start maybe challenging for top 4 next season. And look at Chelsea, for example. Like, Chelsea finished 6th, I think, last year, but for a long period of time, they were down around 10th, 11th, mid-table, and this season, few signings, loads of signings, all of a sudden now they're up there, they're back in top 4. It doesn't have to take 3-4 years. It can be quick. It can. Lawton always seems to have an Ineos story, even from way back over a year ago from now. Well, look, he's a good journalist. In fairness to him, you don't work for the Times if you're not a good journalist. But yeah, look, I want to reiterate, guys. Look, we've been speaking about it, and this is it. United have gone quiet in January to hopefully, go all out and attack the summer transfer window. And if that is the plan, then I'm on board, because, it means then that you're getting, hopefully, your first choice in the summer. And I'm on board for that. I really am. Because I'm sick of this. I'm sick of the rotation now. I'm sick of the, 2.5 years. Let's change plans. Let's change tactics. Amram is brought in now. We've got a plan, an ambitious plan to win the league within the next 3.5 years. Okay, why not give Amram that 3.5 years and let him develop the squad, implement his ideas and tactics, and fill the squad with the types of players that fit his system, and let's see what happens. Anyway, want to move it on, guys. I want to talk a little bit about the summer transfer window, just to expand on it a little bit in relation to how we can spend money. And again, January is a big reason why we will potentially be able to spend in the summer. However, obviously the other thing that is implemented is sales. Okay, and who can we get rid of to bring in money or save money? When you're talking about Casemiro, for example, 350 grand gone off of the wage every week is huge, absolutely huge in terms of the players you can go out and try and sign. However, there has been a report today from Jamie Jackson suggesting that Alejandro Garnacho and Kobbie Mainoo, who were put available for sale in the winter market, will be available again in the summer window. On paper, it doesn't sound good. It really, really doesn't. And I think it's nonsense journalism, to be quite honest with you. You see Jamie Jackson on the likes of the Stretford Paddock and stuff like that, and he's not a United fan. He annoys me sometimes with his bullshit journalism, I have to say. Manchester United are working on a new contract for Kobbie Mainoo. You know what I mean? And again, this is spinning narrative that was put out, as far back as the summer, saying that United would be open to offers for the majority of players. And of course they would. And why shouldn't they be? If a €100 million offer comes in, £100 million offer comes in for Garnacho, we're more than likely going to take it. Likewise, Kobbie Mainoo. Probably not as strong, Kobbie. I think Garnacho would be sold before Mainoo. But again, this is lazy journalism, spinning things that have been said before. Of course, Garnacho and Mainoo are potentially open to leave Manchester United from a United standpoint, because if a silly offer comes in, then it will be looked at and it will be, taken on board. That doesn't mean it's going to be accepted. Now, we speak about, which one of these players is potentially going to leave. And, you would probably have to say that, like I said before, it would probably be Garnacho before Manu. Now, is Garnacho a player that Ineos are future planning to use as a way of raising funds? Maybe. And the Napoli director has been speaking about Garnacho and the potential move in the January transfer window just gone. He said, we made an important bid to Manchester United for Garnacho. We really wanted him. We weren't able to agree on personal terms with Alejandro. He requested an important salary to leave in January, and we must respect our players. So basically that means is Manchester United were open to selling Garnacho. If you're getting, if you're talking about personal terms, then more than likely you have a fee agreed with the selling club. So United were, by all accounts, open to selling Garnacho, even though I didn't agree with it. Now, reading this report, at first glance, you would say, well, that means then that Garnacho was open to leaving Manchester United. And not necessarily. And the reason being is that he's obviously going to know whether Manchester United are accepting bids for him and want him to leave, and whatever the case may be. So he is, well within his rights to negotiate personal terms with a club if the club you're at are willing to sell you. Absolutely. I would look at this probably in a positive light more than anything else, and especially this part. He requested an important salary. Now, he requested an important salary. Why? Because he thinks he deserves it. Maybe because he doesn't want to leave Manchester United and this is his way of staying. Maybe, so we can't look into these reports too in depth and say that, Alejandro Garnacho wants to leave Manchester United. I don't believe he does. I honestly don't believe he does. Will he be a career player at Manchester United and spend his whole career here? Absolutely not. I'm convinced he won't. He's got that Cristiano Ronaldo kind of career mode where he will want to go and play for Real Madrid, probably, Juventus, or whoever the case may be. He might end up at Barcelona and AC Milan. Who knows? But I don't see him staying at one club for his entire career. He's that type of player. However, from what I've seen from Garnacho since the Man City game, is a player that wants to be involved in Ruben Amorim's setup. He wants to play, he wants to learn, and he wants to contribute. And that's all you can ask for from a player. A player that comes to, if I'm doing a training session and there's one or two young players that I worked with that I will genuinely say were a joy to work with, because they come to training with their eyes wide open, they're willing to learn, they want to improve, and they've got great mentality, and they've got a bit of talent to back it up then as well, and then they come and say thank you at the end of a training session. It's fantastic. Now, Garnacho strikes me as the type of guy that wants to learn, wants to improve, wants to be the best. Will he be a Ronaldo? No, he won't. But 99.999% of players in history, will not be Ronaldo. But he wants to get as close as he can to it. So, look, I don't think Alejandro Garnacho wants to leave Manchester United. And I'm delighted that he's here for another at least 5 months until the summer transfer window rolls around. But he's the type of player that, and Manu, that, you should be building your club around. You should be building your team around players like them. They are the future of Manchester United. And they should be, they shouldn't be given special treatment. Of course they shouldn't. But, we're working on a new deal for Manu. Let's hope he signs it. Garnacho is tied down to a long-term contract as well. He got a new one start of last season, wasn't it? So, yeah, I'm all for building a team around these two players, and these two players, only 7 months ago, we were talking about, again, being the future of Manchester United after they scored both of them in an FA Cup final. So, yeah, look, I'm all for building around these types of players 100%. Leicester 12 points behind us and scored 3 less goals. Fair conceded much more, but this is what I'm worrying about, says D. He's got a kid to think about. Could have just been his way of telling them to F off sharpish. Reckon he's seen that if he thrives under Amorim, it'll come good for his career prospects. Yeah, I agree, 100%. Next on the agenda then, guys, is Luke Littler, Luke Shaw, and some interesting reports coming out today suggesting that Luke Shaw suffered another injury setback and may be out for 4 weeks. And this is as he has just returned this week to first team training. Now, reports this evening, a few hours after, coming out from Mike McGrath, have said that Luke Shaw will not be out for 4 weeks and he'll actually be back in training on Monday. There has been a setback, but it's only going to be a few days and he'll be back training. Regardless, Luke Shaw, I mean, in a way I feel sorry for him, because I'm sure it's tough on him that his body just doesn't allow him to be a professional footballer anymore. But that's basically what it is. But in another sense, I don't feel sorry for him because, you know, he's still at Manchester United. He's still picking up his salary week in, week out. And which is, let me have a look. What is Luke Shaw's salary? Luke Shaw's salary is... he's on £150,000 a week, you know. And he's not contributing at all. You know what I mean? And that's the damning thing here with Luke Shaw. You know, let's take bets. You know, yes or no. Will Luke Shaw play more than 3 games between now and the end of the season? 390 minutes? I don't think he will. I just can't see it. You know what I mean? I think Dorgu will come in and you would probably hope within 2 or 3 weeks will be staking a claim for that left wing back role completely. And that's the only reason it would take that long, is just getting to know his new teammates, getting to know the system, his manager, what he wants, so on and so forth. You know, Luke Shaw's finished. Luke Shaw's finished. And the concern here as well with Luke Shaw is his contract runs until 2026, I think. Let me see. Luke Shaw contract expiry. No, sorry. It actually expires in June 2027. 2027. So he's got 2.5 years left on his contract. Who in the blue hell is going to sign Luke Shaw in the summer? Because it's going to be quite clear at United are going to try and move him on. Who's going to sign him? Who's going to sign him? I just don't see who will, to be quite honest with you. I don't see how we could get even 20 million for him. You know, and it's not because of his ability. I would still say that Luke Shaw, on his day, is one of the best left backs in the world. But he doesn't have any days anymore. You know, on his day. There's no more days left. He's too injury prone and he cannot put a spell of games together. I read a stat today, or was it yesterday? Yeah, it was this morning, that Luke Shaw has missed the equivalent of 5 years. I think, what was it? Let me see. I've got to find this. I've got to find this because it's absolutely crazy. Basically what they were saying is they were putting up, kind of adding up all of Luke Shaw's injuries, and they put a timeline on it. Let me just do a bit of scrolling here, and I will see. Yeah, Luke Shaw's career at Manchester United. Oh my God. Right, so he's been here for 10 years, right? 10 years he's been here for, okay? Games missed from injury. 330 games he's missed from injury, okay? If you were to add all of his injuries up in the 10 years that he's been here, sorry, I think it's 11 now at the end of this season, he's missed 7.5 seasons through injury, and he's played 3.5 seasons through injury. I mean, Why is he still here? Why is he still here? If that was anybody else, if I was doing that in my job and I had a contract signed, I would be sacked. If you were doing that in your job, you would no longer be at your job. How can a player who's picking up salaries and wages every 2 weeks or however often he gets paid, once a month, whatever the case may be, how can he continue to be on the books when he has missed the equivalent of 7.5 years of playing time for Manchester United? It's inexcusable. It's absolutely inexcusable. And these are the decisions that have buried Manchester United over the last decade. Giving Luke Shaw a new contract. We gave him a new contract. You know what I mean? He's got 2.5 years left on a deal. These are the deals from the old regime that are absolutely killing us and will continue to kill us for a couple of seasons yet. Luke Shaw is finished. He was finished a long time ago. He is potentially one of the best left backs in the world on his day, but he ain't got any days left. It's over, Luke. You know what I mean? You might as well be on benefits. You know, and that's the damning thing about it, in fairness. You know, let me see what you're saying. He's missed a total of 5 years of football in all, says D. Cowbell says Shaw is the mascot for the National Health Service. Can we get a fee for that? Not 3.5 total consecutively either. Contract protects him. I know the contract protects him. I know it does. But maybe there should be something in place that it doesn't, you know, because he has... Right, so 7.5 years, right? 1 sec. I'm getting out the calculator here, right? So, 52 weeks in the year, for all of you who don't know, multiplied by 7.5, right? That's 390 weeks, okay? Multiplied by 150,000. 58.5 million we've paid for Luke Shaw to be injured. 58.5 million. Now that is if he's on 150 grand a week, which he's probably been on more in the past, has he? If you're averaging him on 150 grand a week and you're saying he's been injured for 7.5 years out of the 11 that he's been here, that's 7.5 multiplied by 52, which is 390 weeks. He's been injured for 390 weeks, multiplied by 150 grand. That gives you 58.5 million pounds we've paid Luke Shaw to be injured. You know? Crazy. Absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. Anyway, let's finish real quick on a positive, if we can, because Fabrizio Romano today has been speaking about Cheeto Obi Martin and, you know, the potential of him breaking into the first team. And he says today that Manchester United always saw Obi Martin as part of a future first squad plan. So I wouldn't be surprised if he gets the chance from now to the end of the season to join the first team. I wouldn't be surprised either. I don't think it'll be a lot of game time, to be quite honest with you. We might see him on the bench a few times and maybe come on as a substitute. And, you know, let's take it from there. But the one thing is for sure, if we're going to have patience over the next couple of years in terms of recruitment and getting us back to where we need to be, then why rush this kid into the first team? And it could absolutely be detrimental to his development. You know, if he comes into that first team squad and doesn't do well over the course of a 5 or 6 game period, there's going to be pressure on him. And that pressure can be damning for a young kid. I say, bring him in. Let him sit in the bench, bring him on for 5 or 10 minutes at the end of games between now and the end of the season, give him some game time, let him play at Old Trafford. Hopefully he'll score a goal or two, maybe at the Stretford end. But other than that, leave him in the 21s and let him develop, let him learn without any pressure whatsoever. That's what I would say about Cheeto Obi Martin. But anyway, guys, we'll leave it there. I do appreciate you watching, as always. If you haven't already done so, smash that like button. Do hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel as well. I'll have the match preview for the Leicester game out tomorrow. And then, of course, we will have the game on Friday night as well. But thanks for watching, guys. Really do appreciate it. Hope you have a great evening. And I'll chat to you tomorrow. Take it easy and good luck.